So in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make an aim trainer in Unity. So first you'll create an empty and call it player, and then you'll drag the main camera into the player empty object. Next, create a folder for scripts, and then inside that folder, we're going to create a new script, new mono behavior script, and we're just going to call that camera controller. So open up the camera controller script. And once we're inside the script, we are going to enter down a little bit and start by creating a public transform player and then a serialized field, and we're going to call that a float mouse sensitivity and set that equal to 1F, and we can change our sensitivity in the editor if we want to. And then we're going to create another float called camera vertical rotation, and we're going to set that to 0. So in the void start, we're going to put a cursor.visible equals false and a cursor lock equals cursor lock mode locked, so that we don't see the mouse when we're in play mode. And then inside update, we are going to put float input x equals input.get access mouse x, so that we can get the x movement of the mouse. And we're going to multiply that by the mouse sensitivity, so that actually does something when we change it. And then do the same for y. Float input y equals input.get access mouse y times mouse sensitivity. Next, we're going to type camera vertical rotation minus equals. We do minus equals instead of plus equals, so that it's not inverted when we look up and down. Input y. And then we're going to do camera vertical rotation equals mathf.clamp. We're going to clamp the looking up down so that we can't rotate all the way around. So we're going to clamp it to negative 90f and 90f, so we can look straight and straight down but no further. And then we're going to do transform.local Euler angles equals vector 3 dot right times the camera vertical rotation. So that handles the y. And so now to look left and right, we'll do player.rotate vector 3 dot up times input x, and that will be the left and right looking. So now we'll attach camera controller to the main camera and select the player, transform for the player, and now as you can see when you click play, we can now look around the screen, and if I look straight up, it won't go any further. If I look straight down, it won't go any further. So that clamp is working. So everything is working so far. Next, we're going to create the target. So we're going to create a 3D object and create a sphere, and then we're going to move it in front of the camera a little bit. So as you can see, it's out in front of the camera. Now we're going to create a new script and call it target and place it on the sphere. And we'll change the name of the sphere to target as well. And then we want to create a prefab out of the target. So just drag it into the assets folder. We're going to create another script. We'll get back to the target script in a minute. And we're going to call this one target shooter. And we'll drag that into player. And then we'll open that up. So we'll start with a serialized field. and call it camera cam. So we can set the camera in the editor. And in void update, we will say if input.get mouse button down 0, so whenever left click is pressed, we're going to call a raycast. So ray equals cam dot viewport point to ray, new vector 3 0.5f 0.5f. Then another if statement, if physics dot raycast ray and out raycast hit hit then target equals hit dot collider dot game object dot get component target, and then if target is not equal to null, destroy the target. And so this will just allow the target to be destroyed when we successfully click on the target. Looks like I've got an issue with my brackets. Okay, let me add one more. All right. Now go back to Unity. And don't do what I did and forget to assign the camera to the target shooter script on the player. But now we click play and we find the target and click it, it should disappear. But we don't want it to just be destroyed. We obviously want to have more targets. So we're going to open the target script and delete those methods and create a public void hit. And so in target shooter, instead of destroy, we're going to call target.hit. We're going to create another game object and call it target boundary. And then add a box collider. But uncheck the collider because we don't actually want the raycast to interact with it. This is just the spawning box for the targets. So we're going to expand this out a little bit to create a larger box. And this will allow the targets to appear within this box. So we're going to create another script and call that target boundary. We're going to start with serialized field and box collider col. This again will just allow us to select the box collider in the editor, and then we'll do a public vector 3 get random position, and inside that method vector 3 center equals collider.center plus transform.position. So we're not only getting the center of the collider itself, but also its position within the world. So it's the true center of the collider. And so this is going to be how we find the bounds of the box. So we're going to create a minimum x equals center.x minus collider.size divided by 2. So this is the center minus 1/2 of the size of the collider, which will be just like the left side or the right side. So that's the bounds on one side, and we'll do the opposite, max x equals center.x plus collider.size.x divided by f. And we'll repeat this for y and for z as well. Once we got that, we're going to create random x, y, and z. And so this will just be the range from the minimum to the maximum. And this is going to allow us to choose where each of the targets spawn randomly after the previous one has been destroyed. So we'll do float random x equals random.range min x and max x, and do the same for y and z. And then after this, we'll create another vector 3, and this will be the actual random location. So we'll call that random position equals new vector 3, random x, random y, and random z. And then we will return the random position. And at the top of the class, we want to put a public static target boundary instance, and then on awake, we want to have instance equals this. But as we create each new target, the code still works fine. And in the target hit method, we want transform.position equals target boundary dot instance dot get random position, and that's it for that script. And then we'll drag the target boundary script onto the target boundary, and then drag the box collider into the collision. And now we should see, when we destroy the previous target, a new one spawns, which it looks like it's working. So now we're going to add a cursor, so we're going to add a canvas. Change the scale mode to scale with screen size, the reference resolution to 1920 by 1080, and the match to 0.5. And then on the canvas, we're going to add an image. And we're going to change the width and the height to 10 and set the color to something we can see better, like red. And now if we play, it should be working well with cursor and everything. So yeah, as you can see, it's working well. The sensitivity is a little bit low. So if you exit play mode, you can go back to your main camera and change the mouse sensitivity. So let's try 1.5, see if that's any better. Yeah, that's a bit better, but I'm obviously not very good at aim trainers. But yeah, there you go, working aim trainer in Unity.